Okay, so this is a little mug rug or sort of coaster pattern that I designed for the people at WaterAid. And so this is just the right size. It's roughly sort of 4 inches square, just slightly wider than that, and perfect just for standing a mug on. So if you do want to use it as a mug rug, it's probably best if you can try and use cotton or like bamboo cotton mix, just because that's more resilient against the heat. If you were to use acrylic, sometimes if you have a particularly hot mug, you might melt the fibres, so we don't really want to do that. But here we are. So what I am using for this is quite a fine double knitting yarn, which is Stylecraft Naturals Bamboo and Cotton. So I have got, what have I got here? Deep Sea and chalk, but basically you can use any scraps as sort of double knit and maybe sort of 4-ply weight yarn that you've got laying around. Okay, so it's a nice straightforward little pattern. Kept it as simple as I possibly could for people who are not used to overlay mosaic crochet. So what we're going to do is just 23 stitches wide. So as you can, I'll just show you the back as well. So the back is going to be stripy and the front has got the design on it. There's no, as you can hopefully see from that, there's no actual colour changing within the rows. It's really nice and straightforward. You're literally just using one colour for each row. Okay, so what you're going to need, I'm using a 3mm hook here, which is a little smaller than it suggests on the ball band, and that's because we want to keep our stitches nice and neat. And also, this bamboo and cotton is quite, like I said, quite a fine double knitting yarn. Okay, so you've got your hook and you'll need a pair of scissors because we are going to be cutting the yarn at the end of every row. As you can probably see from that, don't worry, we're not going to need to weave the ends in. We're just going to sort of fray them out and leave them there as a little fringe. Okay, so we are going to start with our background colour, which I am calling MC for main colour. Okay, if you're familiar with doing your sort of chainless foundation double crochets to start, by all means do that, but I'm going to start with a row of chains. Okay, so we need to leave just a little bit of a fringe at the end. We'll tidy it up when we've finished. Okay, so you start with a slip knot on your hook, or if you're like me and you don't really do slip knots, just twist the yarn round and pull a loop through to make your first chain. As you tighten that up, that actually becomes a slip knot. Okay, so now we are going to need 23 chains. Okay, so don't pull them too tight because you're obviously going to need to work into them later. Okay, so just carry on, do your row of chains like so. When you've got 23, come back to me. Okay, so I now have 23 chains here. So we're now going to just fasten this off. Okay, so make one further chain, pull that loop through and cut it off. Okay, and then we can pull that tight. So what we're now going to do is just work a row of double crochets into that chain. So if you want, you can indeed work into this loop here. What I'm going to do, because I think it makes a neater edge, is I'm going to just turn that chain around and work into this back bumps here. You see? Okay. So, and what you can actually do, if you turn that around, so we start where we started before. If you did find that you were either missing a chain or had one too many at the end, it's easier to sort that out. Okay. So I've actually just twisted that round. So every row is going to start the same way. We're going to start with a standing double crochet with a slip knot on our hook. So that might sound complicated, but it's really not. We're just going to start with a slip knot, or how I did there, pulling a chain through, but make sure you have a knot on your hook. Okay, and then as I said, I'm going to be working into this back bump, and we're going to go into this first one. Ooh, under there. Okay, and then you're going to be working just into this back bump all the way along. Okay, so we start with our standing double crochet, and then we are going to do 22 double crochets into these back bumps. Okay, or indeed if you find it easy, you can do it into the front of the chain, so like so. So under there. So carry on and do that, and when you get to the end of the row, come back to me. Okay, so I've now completed row 1 and I've got 23 stitches there. So we're now going to end the row by fastening off. So pull another chain through, leave say a couple of inches, sort of at least 5 centimeters I would say, trim that off, pull it tight. Okay, so that's row 1 done. To get us started, now you need to make sure you've got your row 1 the right way up, so just making sure that if you have a look at it there, you can just see the top loops of those stitches are just tilted slightly towards you. If you had it the wrong way around, like so, you can see it looks completely different. All right, so making sure the top stitches are tilted towards you, pick up your contrast color. So this is the color that you're using for the actual water droplet, and again we're going to start with a standing double crochet, however you do that. And we start with our sort of first stitch is a standard double crochet. So it's a standing double crochet, but it's also under both loops. Okay, like so. So you just make your double crochet straight away, like so. And now we are now going to work 21 stitches, 21 more double crochets, but this time we're only working into these back loops. Okay, so you'll now need 21 back loop double crochets, like so. Okay, because what we're doing, we're leaving, I'll show you here, we're leaving these front loops free, because that's how we're going to create the pattern. You like drop on the next row, which we'll switch back to our background color again. We're going to be working over some of these stitches. Okay, so carry on with your back loop double crochets, and when you've just got that one stitch left at the end, come back to me. Okay, so I've now done my 21 back loop double crochets, so we're going to end the row, and we'll end every row exactly the same. Now we're going to work another double crochet, but this time, just like the first stitch, we're actually going under both loops. Okay, that sort of anchors the start and the end, makes that a little firmer. Then fasten off. Okay, so far nice and straightforward. Well, it's all nice and straightforward really, but we're now going to introduce another stitch. So we're going back to our main color, or background color, and again I'm going to be starting with a slip knot and a standing double crochet under both loops. Okay, so that's row 3. So that now what we need to do, we're going straight into this new stitch, and all this is a treble, but we're not working it into these loops here. We are going to drop down to like the second row down. Okay, so it'll be the same color that you're currently using. So we've now switched back to our main color, so we're going to be working into these front loops we've left here in our main color. Okay, so it's literally just treble, so yarn over, insert your hook in that front loop and make your treble there. Okay, so we've actually now got 8 trebles in a row. So front loop treble 2 rows down, that's what that means. Okay, 3, 7, 8, and it's always worth, when you've done a little run of any particular stitch, just to make sure you haven't lost count. Okay, so we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 trebles there. So now what you do, you make sure you leave these 8 stitches behind there, so you'll get this little sort of pocket at the back. So we're now switching back to our back loop double crochets again, so just make sure, if you lay that nice and flat, you can see if we were doing another treble it would be in there. So make sure you do your back loop double crochet into there, your first one, and I've got a run of 5 of those, so 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then we end the row with another 8 front loop trebles 2 rows down. Okay, so I've now done my 8 front loop trebles there, and as I said, we're going to end the row right in this last stitch with a standard double crochet under both loops and fasten off. So basically that is how simple overlay mosaic crochet is. Okay, so I'll just do one more row together. So again, I've now switched back to my contrast colour. Start with a slip knot, and your very first stitch is double crochet under both loops. Okay, so now we have got, you'll notice that we can't actually do a treble now because we haven't got a front loop 2 rows down to work into. So if you do seem to find that the pattern looks like it's telling you to do a treble over a treble, you've probably miscounted, so just check your counts there. But other than that, that's how simple things are. Okay, so I've got my first double crochet under both loops, and I'm now going to do, as I said, the only thing I can do, which is 8 back loop double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. Then we've got 5 front loop trebles, so we're going to fill in here with trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then 8 back loop double crochets. Ooh, get tangled up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and finally, again, that last stitch is another double crochet, but this time under both loops, and fasten off. So that is how you do overlay mosaic crochet. So if you want to complete your droplet mug rug, you can download the pattern from my Ravelry store, and I'll put a link in the comments for you for that. Okay, now when you have finished, what I tend to do is, okay, we just need to sort of fray these ends out. Okay, don't have to, we can just literally, I'll chop them first, chop them off, yeah, to about 1 inch like so. Okay, so at both ends. But if you compare that to the original, I quite like to just fray them out. So to do that, the easiest way I've found is to grab a blunt tapestry needle and just basically drag that through the ends like so, and that just separates them out. Ooh, a little bit fiddly, but there you go, hopefully you can see. Okay,